Welcome to SNN News. The news we bring to you today is from March 13th of 2021. Let's get started. I'm your host, Sean Han, and let's get started with today's episode, starting with San Diego, USA. Alright, now, these great apes have received their COVID-19 vaccinations, aka orangutans and bonobo chimps. They were given their own specially made little vaccines, and the animals will soon be tested to see if the ape jabs have worked. Lucky you, you've got the COVID-19 and you'll have to test the first dose of your virus vaccine. Next up, we're up to here. We are in Kingston of Jamaica. Now, in Kingston, Jamaica, this is a tribute for the reggae legend Bunny Wailer. Now, people in Jamaica and all around the world have paid their own tribute, just as they did to Technoblade, to the musician Bunny Wailer after he died at the age of 73 years old. That's an old age for a musician. Now, the Wailer was one of the founding members of the band The Wailers, his last name, which also featured the famous musician, a guy named Bob Marley. Wailer is considered one of the most important artists in reggae, and reggae is a type of music that developed in Jamaica in the 1960s. Coming up to our next destination, we're going to Spain. More precisely, Cantabria, Spain. And I've never known that there were actually schools for shepherds, but it turns out there are. Shepherd schools for women have opened. So now these women can now have some work on the farmland in the country, where instead of just having to go to the cities for work. Instead, has been launched in northern Spain, and the School for Shepherdesses of the 21st century is hoping to encourage more women to work on farms in the region of where the school is. Now, women have been moving to towns because there are not many jobs in the countryside, leaving behind an older and mainly male population. The school will offer a 9-month course, including 1 weekend per month, and working in the mountains of Cantabria, which is where this place is. Okay, come on, we're going to France again. But this time we're going to Bordeaux, France. And it's a search for this very, very tiny meteorite. See, it's believed to be 150 grams in its weight, and it's literally a fresh meteorite that has a lot of precious information. However, since it's very small, there's a very, as Michael Wilmart has told the Guardian newspaper, it's so small that the chances of finding are slim, meaning that they need pure luck to find that tiny meteorite. Good luck. Okay, we're going to Nigeria, where there's some hostile stuff happening. Zamfara, Nigeria, and it looks a lot like the French flag, except that it has green and white instead of blue, white, and red. And speaking of, except for the flag, there are 279 girls who were kidnapped from a school in Nigeria, and these are just some of the girls, and who have been reunited with their families. And a group of armed men actually broke into their school and marched the girls into the forest, and they were forced to sleep in caves as the men tried to make sure that they got a ransom for the release. The government said that no money was paid, but they had reached an agreement with the kidnappers, which seemed very highly unlikely, unless one of them, the kidnappers, somehow convinced everyone else to be soft. And one of the girls told the BBC is that I want to go, quote, I want to go back to school because I want a bright future. She added the government should also provide security to protect schools. Reminds me of the Black Rights Movement. We're going to Russia, and we're on the coast. More specifically, Ballerina Bay, Russia. Sounds like Ballerina Bay, Russia. But other than making jokes about its name, this ballerina right here has performed scenes from the ballet Swan Lake on the frozen sea at the Ballerina Bay. I'm just gonna nickname it Ballerina Bay. Around 65 miles from the city of St. Petersburg, the ancient city that Mr. Peter the Great has created. Her name is Elmira Bragatinova, who was protesting against the government's decision to build a port in the bay, which could endanger all the local life, especially swans, which might be the reason why she chose Swan Lake to perform at scenes of Swan Lake in temperatures at minus 15 degrees Celsius. That's chillingly cold, especially with this costume. Welcome to Iraq, where Pope Francis is here to visit Iraq. Now, on March 5th, Pope Francis, who was the head of the Roman Catholic Church, became the first pope to visit Iraq in the Middle East. And the main religion in Iraq is, well, Islam. But around 250,000 Christians live in the country, which might be the reason why he visited there. During his 40th trip, the 84-year-old Pope met Christian and Muslim leaders and called for all faiths to live together peacefully. And on March 7th, Pope Francis held a service at a stadium in the city of Erbil that drew thousands of worshippers. We're going to India. New Delhi, India. And now you might all think that these are farmers. Yes, they're true, but they're all females. Let me explain why. On March 6th, farmers marked 100 days of protest by blocking a road leading to the capital city, New Delhi. And since November, thousands of these farmers have been protesting against new laws that were introduced by the government. They say the laws will make them poorer, but the government says the new laws will create them more opportunities. On March 8th, International Women's Day, female farmers held another protest. Makes sense. It's the International Women's Day. Well, other than that, let's go to one of our final destinations. It is Cambodia. One of the best places I've actually ever been to. Koh Kong, Cambodia, where royal turtles lay their eggs. Now, for the first time, royal turtles in captivity have laid their eggs in Cambodia, and the captivity means that the animals are kept and looked after by humans. Well, these 5 royal turtles laid 71 eggs between them. The reptiles are critically endangered and nearly become extinct, which means because of their hunting and habitat loss. So this will add addition and just a little bit step further out of the endangerment list. Since 2015, the Conservation Project has released 96 young adults back into the wild, and there are plans to release 50 more turtles later this year. Basically later in 2021. It's already done. Thank you, and our last destination, drum roll please! New Zealand! North Island of New Zealand. Now, these people returned home after an earthquake, and early in the 5th of March, 3 large earthquakes have struck the northeast coast of New Zealand, and thousands of people were told to leave their homes in case the quakes caused a tsunami, basically a giant wave. By the afternoon, officials say the biggest waves had passed, and there were no reports of damage, so the people were allowed to go home, and they had to go to high ground for safety. So, thank you, officials, for saving New Zealand people and citizens. And that is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the news around the world on March 13th, 2021 of these 10 places and cities that we've just told you. And I hope to see you guys in the next episode where we'll be talking about more 10 cities news. See you guys all over the world. See you soon. Shine out. Peace. Honk.